Hey everyone, welcome to the Boss Babe Blog Podcast. I'm your host, KeTohn, and today's topic is three types of people to avoid. So I want to help you with protecting your mental. I want to put you in positive spaces and, mindsets. And so today we're going to talk about three people you want to avoid or distance yourself from, or just put them in the box that they belong in your life and let them stay there. Don't try to let them be anything outside of what they have shown you they are. So the first person is going to be the what about me person. So let's picture this. You're having a huge celebration because you just got a huge promotion at work and you decide to have all of your friends and family over. The what about meer is the person that is going to wait until you announce that you're having this promotion and you're doing this celebration. They're going to wait until they arrive at the party and then they're going to sit down in front of everybody at the party and start talking about all the dreary things that are going on in their life. Or when's my promotion? When is my time coming? Oh, I just wish I was there. There's nothing wrong with voicing that you wish you were at a milestone, but it's extremely draining to carry on a relationship where you are happy and you are celebrating, and a person is always making your celebration their doomsday. It's extremely inconsiderate and it's very tiring. I've seen it. I've been in relationships where people have done that, and I gladly left. So if you notice that you have a friend or a family member that does that, you need to get up out of there. I'm not saying you can't love them from a distance. I'm not saying you can't still support them, but your life is going to be draining in that relationship, at least if you consistently enable that behavior. When it's your day, it's your day. They have their days too. And guess what? You show up and you support them. So you deserve to have that in return. The Me Tooers, they got it. I mean, not the Me Tooers. We're going to get to them. The what about mirrors? Got to get them out of here, because if they couldn't have their own moment, they had to wait until they saw you having a moment, and that's when they chose to jump on that. It's a toxic behavior. Sorry, I mean to bump the camera, but it's a toxic behavior, and you want to get up out of there. All right, the next person, the random ranters, and everybody hates me to prove to me that you don't hate me. Ers. That's a long one. So this is the person that plays psychological games and talks about all the terrible things people have done to them and how everybody hates them and everybody's all the same, and they are prompting you directly, aggressively, or passively, prompting you to prove yourself right, to prove you that you're not like everybody else. You got to get out of there. Matter of fact, prove them wrong. Prove to them that you are like everybody else and just get out of there. Save yourself some time, because that relationship is going to be a constant hamster wheel of them holding over the idea of them loving you and accepting you for who you truly are and seeing you for who you truly are, when in reality they'll never see you as that, because they have their own trauma and they really are just looking for something negative. They're going to find something negative. So people like that, get out of there. I had a guy say to me one time, yeah, all of the women leave anyways. That's what y'all do. I said, you sure right. And then I got up out of there. Got to get out of here. Got to go. I won't be the one. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm tired of digging, Grandpa. And when I say I'm tired of digging, I mean I'm tired of showing up for people 100% and 1,000% for them to have all the excuses in the world why they can't show up for me, even though my actions have shown them that I am someone of value, someone of integrity, someone of love. You know what I mean? So if I am showing up in all of that to you, I don't want to hear nothing about what the last person did to you. I don't want to hear nothing about how you grew up as a child or whatever. I grew up, I had my own traumas too, but we're not bringing that into our relationship. So that's going to be your lean on, excuse, crutch, cop out, whatever you want to call it. Every time it's time to show up and handle business, I can't be here. I'm sorry. And that's not just in romantic relationships. That's in friendship. That's in business. That's in any relationship where a person's trying to make you prove that you are, supportive, or prove that you are integrity based. I don't have time for that. And I don't have time for anybody else that wants to play that game. I'm not looking for anybody to prove anything to me, and I'm not about to prove anything to you. So the second you start with trying to make me feel like you want me to prove something is the second that I get up out of there. That is the second person you have got to let go of, because if not, you will find yourself seeking an external validation. And what that does is leads to superficial relationships where you can't really call on a person when you really need them, because your relationship is built off a false version of yourself that you've been trying to perfect just so you can be loved and appreciated by that person. If they can't love you and appreciate you for who you are and call out the fact that you are a good person and that you show up for them right now, and they're so clouded by the hurt that has happened to them, let them go. Let them go to therapy. Matter of fact, got it. All right, the next one, the Me Tooers. Yeah, those. The Me Tooers is the person that has a itch every time you talk about something that you're going through. There's like an itch and a scratch that just makes them say, yeah, but I went through this. Those, get them all the way out of there, because those people will have you so drained and tired to the point where you won't even be able to build a fruitful relationship with them, anyways. Number one. And number two, you'll start questioning yourself on things you don't need to be questioning yourself on. One time, I sat down with somebody close to me and I told them how something that they did to me made me feel. And they proceeded to go into a list of all the things that they grew up going through and why, my life was just so different. And they went through this and they went through that. You going through that stuff has nothing to do with me coming to you and telling you that something is bothering me on the way that you have treated me or how you have acted towards me. That has nothing to do with this. Nothing. Okay. All of that, me too, my pain's deeper, my trauma's deeper, my wounds harder type of stuff is weird. The trauma comparisons, you got to get out of there, because those people will always have a mindset of, there's always something wrong. There's always a reason why it's okay for them to do and act certain ways. And it's always going to be a competition, a weird one. Who wants to compete over who's hurting more? Why don't we just try to alleviate the problem and both elevate together? That's just the dumbest thing to me. So when you see people comparing their pain to you constantly, I'm not talking about like, once every blue moon or, oh, they did this. You can address those things. But every time you express that you're going through something, they have a me too in the back. Mm-mm. No, don't want to hear it. And let's make sure we separate this. A person who's trying to support you, but also let you know, hey, you have a lot of things in your life right now that you can be grateful for. That's not them. I'm talking about the person that goes out of their way to compare their hardships, their pain, their struggles to your hardships, your pain, and your struggles, to minimize how you are feeling and maximize their justifications for them being upset about what they experience. Again, they're making it about them when it in fact was not about them to begin with. They are not self aware, they are not empathetic, and they will always sit in the front of, well, I went through this and I did that. You broke your arm. Well, guess what? I broke my arm and my leg. Draining, draining. And then for me, I absolutely don't care. I absolutely don't care. Let's just be frank. Let's just keep it a buck. All right. I'm having a conversation with you and I'm telling you, I broke my arm, and you come to me and say, you think that hurts? I broke my arm and my leg. I don't care. I don't care. And it's not because I don't, care about your well being. It's because I don't care about you coming to me to complain about how your pain was larger than mine. I don't care. So I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear what you said, and I'm going to keep talking about what I was experiencing and going through. And that's either going to click for you, and common sense is going to say, hey, how are you feeling? Or can I do anything? Can I support you? Or you're going to keep going on your place. And then shortly, in about probably about 30 seconds, KeTohn will be exiting the chat because I don't care. Um, if you want to tell me how you're feeling and how you're hurting on your own time, that's wonderful. But if you're going to wait until you see that me coming to express how I'm going through something or hurting to now say, you think that's bad? Guess what I went through? We won't be friends for long. That's where it's at. Yeah. So those are three people I would tell you to avoid, because they are extremely draining, and it just tears down your mind. Slowly starts to deteriorate being around people with these low vibrational energies and conversations. Got to get away from that so you can thrive and so you can not be depressed, because those are all depressing characteristics to be dealing with. Being friends or being in a relationship with a person that fails to acknowledge how solid you are as an individual and always complaining about things that they went through in the past, that is draining. I said, and there was an individual that I had talked to or dated who was always complaining about how Nobody's ever there for a man. Nobody's ever there for men. Nobody's ever there for this. They always use vulnerability against us. Okay. And then the same individual, when we had a disagreement, tried to use vulnerability against me. You're exhausting. You're exhausting. And that's one example. There's plenty of women that do the same thing, plenty of men that do the same thing. But the people who always complain about how the world and other people treat them to people who are there for them and supportive of them, that is exhausting. It's exhausting. And then they'll say things like, oh, yeah, I'm not talking about you though. Oh, you're different. Shut up. I don't want to hear all that. Go get therapy. Because if you truly felt that way, you wouldn't even feel the need to say it because your actions would show it. But because you don't feel that way and you're hurting inside and you need help, your actions are showing that you don't truly feel like I'm different and you don't realize that I am an integrity based individual. Therefore, you need to go get help. And some people don't believe in therapy. You need to start believing in it today if you want to make more money and if you want to be in better spaces, because that unhealed version of you is holding you back from doing amazing things in this life. Release yourself from those chains. All right. So now that I've shared those three, hopefully this message sits with somebody. If you are that person who's always comparing your hardships to the next person, it's not to shame you, it's for awareness. Maybe when someone's telling you about what they're going through, let go of that urge to want to say, yeah, yeah, you think you're hurting? Listen to what I went through. Try not to do that. Acknowledge what they're going through. Ask them if they need support. Let them know you love them. Ask them how they're doing mentally. These are things that we can do just to be better humans. Don't make everything about you. For the person who's always talking about how people hurt them and how they can't trust anybody and yada, yada, yada. Okay, okay. But when you're sitting in front of a person who you can trust, who has supported you, who has shown up for you, who has been loyal to the bone for you, acknowledge them at what they are and stop making them the punching bag for what other people did to you and get some help. And then last but never least, the what about meers. What about you? What about you? Stop waiting until other people are building a spotlight to come and unload, whether it's a trauma dump, whether it's I just want to talk about me. Talk about yourself on your own time. Create your own highlights. What is it with people like you? You so insecure that you have to go and piggyback off of somebody else's moment instead of just creating your own because you're worried about if your moment is worth it or worthy. You are worthy. Create your own moment. Celebrate your own accomplishments in life. Stop going to other people's celebrations and then trying to change what the celebration is about. No, they created that event to celebrate their birthday. Don't you come to that event talking about how birthdays suck and yada yada. Get out of here. Okay? They created that promotional party, that work party. Don't you come to that work party complaining about how your promotion hasn't come yet. Get the heck out of here. And if you need support, you need to make that clear. Stop waiting until other people's days to do that. And have enough emotional intelligence to say, I'm emotionally disturbed right now. I don't need to be in this space. I want to release myself from that so that they can have a good time and I'm not dragging the environment down. Or I'm going to hold these feelings in temporarily and be there to support my friend who shows up for me. And when the event is over, and after the dust has settled, and after we have celebrated, and we have one on one time, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've been feeling. You know, when I saw you have that celebration party, I thought to myself, what am I doing? Because my promotion hasn't come. Am I not doing enough? I don't know what that feeling comes from. These are conversations that can be had. There's a time and a place for everything. But that exact conversation being had while your friend is cutting the cake at her celebratory party, no, no. Develop the emotional maturity and the emotional patience to address these things when they need to be addressed so that you're not that person that's always waiting until someone else has something to say to now decide that you want to magically speak up. Don't do that, please. Hopefully, you enjoyed this podcast. I hope somebody took something from it, whether you are the receiving end or the giving end. But I just hope that you got something. All right. So now that we've gone through that, our next podcast we will be talking about the 360-day quality rule. Let's get into it.